Friday, September 19th. I'd like to welcome you to City Hall, to the Los Angeles City Council meeting. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Madam Clerk, I do believe we have a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Blumenfeld, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Huizar, Carrasco, Correa, LaBange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Wesson. 10 members present, a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Price moves, Correct seconds. Next.
Committee to resolutions for approval.
Blumenfield moves, Bonin seconds. That brings us where?
Mr. President, would you like to run through the agenda?
Yes, I would.
Items 1 and 2 are items noticed for public hearing. The Department of Building and Safety reports that items 1B, E, and F may be received and filed as much as the liens have been paid and or partially rescinded. And also the department requests that item 1H be continued to September 23rd.
Okay, without objection, that'll be the order. Do we have cards on these items?
And also, Mr. President, the department also requests to continue item 1A to September 26th.
Okay, so without objection. So let's prepare to vote.
And Mr. President, there are cards on both 1 and 2.
Okay, so then let's move forward. That brings us to the next section.
Items 3 through 9 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay, members, specials. I do not see any. Let's prepare to vote. Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay. All right.
And for item number 3, the ordinances will be held over for 1 week, if not reconsidered with 12 members.
I understand. Let's move on to the next section of items.
Items 10 through 13 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before this body. Any cards?
Yes, cards on items 10 through 13.
Okay, so then we'll hold those items as well. That brings us.
On the continuation agenda, items 14 and 15 are items for which public hearings have been held.
All right, so on that, I've been informed that we should hold item 15. Mr. Englander, I'm sorry.
14, please, sir, as well.
14.
Thank you.
Okay, let's vote on I think there's one remaining item.
Yeah, item 16 is an item for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, that item is before this body. Do we have cards?
Yes, cards on item 16.
Okay, so then we'll hold that as well. Maybe we can conduct some business before we start our presentation. So why don't we start with item 2 that has been called special by Mr. Walsh. Mr. Fuentes is here. So let's, what was that one item that we needed 12 on, Madam Clerk?
Item 3.
Okay, so let's vote on item 3. So the first vote will be on reconsideration. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
And now the actual vote on the item. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, now, Madam Clerk, that brings us to item 2. Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, or tweeting at Hollywood Dems, and for identification purposes only, chairman of Let's Let 16 and 17-year-olds Vote in California Committee, like the Scotch. I hate to say this, but I'm about to praise you again. Remember, you do a good job, I shake your hands. You do a bad job, I wrap your knuckles metaphorically. Weed and brush abatement are good. I'm going to tell you, they had a tiny fire up in Oakland about 10 years ago. Devastated Oakland, because up there it's much more corrupt than here. much more corrupt, especially when Brown was mayor. So you do a very good job, and you make those people whose brush it is clean it up. Go up to anybody and take a look, cameras, how nice it looks up there. And that's why we don't have these devastating fires down here. It's not God's will. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, let's prepare to vote on that item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, we'll now take up item 10. Mr. Walsh, item 10. Item 10, called special by Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh at HollywoodHighlands.org. Many people come up to me, even in the street, thanking me about warning them on REAP. These are liens on property. Check your home. If you find any violations, send a letter, written letter to REAP, and they'll come out, they'll check it out, they'll write them up, and if your landlord doesn't pay the fines, the landlord doesn't get your rent anymore. REAP gets the city gets your rent until your landlord repairs your house. Now, in my apartment, there were some problems. The inspectors came over. They came over twice. They made sure that it was fixed. The landlord, he's not that bad, you know. So what I'm telling you right now is you have an edge over your landlord if you have code violations in your apartment. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you. Let's prepare to vote on that item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Mr. Walsh, please don't go anywhere. We're going to now go to another item of yours, item 13, sir.
I also signed up for number 12. I'm assuming it'll come later. 13, again, is a loan to assist improvements at Woodbury University. Let Woodbury University improve their property themselves. We're not here in a city with the money that would go to help Woodbury University should be going to repairing the worst sidewalks in America. I didn't say that. Everybody says it. And the worst roads in America, and the worst poverty in America. And for the little snot-nosed kids who go to Woodbury University and the teachers, you know what part of my posterior you can kiss. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Krikorian, and Mr. Herman, if you could make your way. But Mr. Krikorian.
It would be appropriate to clarify for about the 500th time
Go right
that when we
ahead.
have TEFRA hearings like this to benefit the important institutions in our community that are providing often nonprofit services and other things, it doesn't cost the city a penny. None of this money is city money that's going to Woodbury University. We're simply the administrator of this federal funding that's going to support what they're doing. So it has nothing to do with the city's general fund. It doesn't cost the city a penny.
Thank you so much for that clarification. Mr. Herman.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to occupy a 1-minute time. In my hand, a guide to the disability right laws here, folks. For all you who are here, thank you for being a participant of this meeting. Again, we're talking about construction improvements located at Woodbury University. Is there a possibility that Mr. Krikorian is wrong in his statement earlier?
No.
That we, the federal government, we, the local agencies, do not provide a little funding or take out a little funding from the construction improvements? We can't even fix our sidewalks and streets in Los Angeles. And Batman wants the world to know we deserve access and accessibility for all our streets, folks.
Please
All
keep
of
your
you.
voice
We
down.
all need beautiful streets and sidewalks. And I'm down to my last few seconds, and I'm going to say it for the record. Neil Kashkari.
No, that's not on the subject. Mr. City Attorney, again, that's not on the subject. If he does that again, then I'm not going to allow him to finish his statement. Okay, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, we'll move on to item 12. I have Mr. Walsh and Mr. Herman on item 12. Yes, Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Another worthless reward offer. What do you have? You only had one fulfilled reward. You made a big deal out of that in the past 15 years. County is just as bad. Now, as far as if you want to rat out the murderer of Alvaro Eli, remember the Crips and the Bloods are ready to take action. No, the Crips and the Bloods know me. I was a substitute teacher all over South Central for a quarter of a century. I had the Crips and the Bloods in my classroom when they were in kindergarten, and they know they can trust my word. I'm not here to lie. The Crips and I'd like to hear Mr. Krikorian get up and say, Mr. Walsh is wrong. We have given out 5,000 rewards in the last year. You lying piece of crap, Mr. Walsh. I'm waiting to hear that. HollywoodHighlands.org. The floor is yours.
Mr. Herman.
Death can be sobering. Death can be demising. Death. So why do we offer rewards for death if eventually we're all going to die? Why can't we praise our elected officials for doing a better job of protecting the safety of all you Angelinos, all of you here today, all of you in the background who believe that we deserve public safety at its best and accountability for the interest of the public. Incidentally, the death relating to this reward is a joke. 1926 to 2014, on that day, I lost my father, September 17th at 1:30 p.m., and I was there. That's love. That's Batman. Be there at the right time. Love you, Dad. But let's stick to topic of the reward. Again, January 27th, 2009, additional period of 6 months from the publication to offer a reward by the office of the city clerk, Ellen's not here today, but city clerk, and that of the city attorney to further place this amount of $50,000, chump change for a life, right? Chump change for a life.
Speaking to the mic.
But the reality is, it's chump change for a life. Let's stop giving rewards out for life. Let's make life with love, responsibility, and accountability by our public officials to provide us health and safety, not sexual harassment. Have a
Stay
nice
on
day.
the subject. Thank you. All right, let's prepare to vote. Let us, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, Mr. O'Farrell, we have a very, very special presentation. And we have some very, very special guests with us today. If you'd please rise and stand behind Mr. O'Farrell.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's just move this out of the way. Here we go. Hey, you. Long time no see.
To the translator. Translator, if you could give a special hello to my nominee, Dr. Garcia, who I think is Natalie dressed. That's why he and I.
You can stand right here. The two of you can stand right there. Yeah. That'll work.
Mitchell,
All right.
the floor is yours.
Good morning, colleagues. Welcome to Deaf Awareness Month. This is the 16th anniversary. Here in the city of Los Angeles, we
Let's
pride
give
ourselves.
Mitch. That was really sensitive, and that I am impressed.
Thank you.
That shows
Thank you.
No, Mitch, seriously, shows a very special sensitivity. And anyway, just well done. Well done.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. Here in the city of Los Angeles, we pride ourselves in celebrating the richness of cultures that make us one of the most diverse cities in the world. 16 years ago, the mayor and city council realized that there was a unique and thriving community in our city that had not received the attention or recognition that we have equally afforded other groups. That is why the city officially designated September as Deaf Awareness Month in the city of Los Angeles. And the person who started it all is Bertha Vasquez, who taught me that little bit of sign language that you just saw. Bertha, where are you? Okay, there's Bertha. Everyone needs to understand that she's a real champion of this movement. Round of applause for Bertha. In honor of this month-long celebration, I have asked my fellow colleagues on the City Council to bring forward and recognize exemplary individuals and organizations who have contributed to the deaf and hard of hearing community. We welcome all of our honorees to City Hall this morning and congratulate you for all your contributions to our great city. Previous to this presentation, in the room in back, we awarded the following honorees. Representing the 1st Council District, Jimmy Valenzuela, a longtime friend of mine. Jimmy. We also recognized from Council District 2, Daniel N. Durant. Daniel, make yourself known. And from the 3rd Council District, Barbara Stevens. From the 4th Council District, Daryl Hayek. From the 5th Council District, UCLA's Office for Students with Disabilities. Feel free to applaud. From the 6th Council District, Paul Saramarco and Tina Cleveland. From the 8th Council District, we have Stephanie Johnson. From the 9th Council District, we have American Apparel, who helped underwrite this whole presentation and month-long series of events, represented by Robert Lopez. From the 10th Council District, we have Dr. Tomas Garcia. From the 11th District, we have Melissa Alexander. From the 12th District, we've got Fred and Debbie Jo Lovich. From the 14th District, we have El Sereno Middle School's Deaf and Hard of Hearing program staff. And from the 15th Council District, we have Molina Healthcare, another underwriter of this event over the past several years. They all deserve a huge round of applause. We'll get to my honoree in a second. My honoree is Ryan Lane. You might recognize Ryan in his hit television show, Switched at Birth. Am I right about that? Yes, thank you. I just, sometimes my mind. So Ryan is going to say a few words and address the chamber today. Ryan?
I want to thank City Hall for this honor. One second, maybe the interpreter can interpret for them. Copy sign him?
He's on the screen too.
Oh, he's on the screen. Okay.
If you stand next to the council member or on this side, that might work because then the cameras will be on you. Will that
I need
work?
to see him.
We're good. We're good.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to start by saying thank you to the City of Los Angeles for honoring me. I'm extremely honored to be the Master of Ceremonies for this year's Deaf Festival, and I'd like to thank the city for recognizing deaf awareness. This event has been a huge support and will be a huge support to the deaf community, and I'm very proud of living in this city, a city that recognizes deaf awareness, and so I just want to say thank you for everything.
Thank you, Ryan. And I'm going to present your certificate right now. And this is to Ryan Thomas Lane, star of ABC Families, Switched at Birth, and our Master of Ceremonies this month. Congratulations, Ryan. The celebration of Deaf Awareness Month will culminate at noon next Saturday, September 27th, at the 16th Annual Deaf Festival, Los Angeles, on the South Lawn of City Hall. We are proud to say that the Deaf Festival, Los Angeles, is the largest festival in the entire United States honoring this community. Deaf Festival gives deaf and hard of hearing individuals of all ages a venue to engage and network with their peers, and empowers the more than 400,000 individuals who make up the deaf community in Los Angeles County to discover their God-given potential. This festival also helps educate those of us in the hearing community, which showcases and celebrates the inspirational stories of the deaf and hard of hearing. To further highlight this talented community, a t-shirt design contest was held with the help of the Deaf Festival Committee and generous sponsor, American Apparel. Please give a round of applause to the winning artist, a student at Marlton School for the Deaf, Montserrat Alcaraz, as she accepts her winning design. And here it is. There you go. Come on over. We'll hold it up again. Congratulations. This festival has many supporters, and I'd like to acknowledge the unwavering dedication of the following contributors: the Department on Disability, Department of Cultural Affairs, as I mentioned before, Bertha Velasquez, Richard Ray of the Department on Disability. Richard, where are you? Make yourself known. Right here. He's Richard, please stand. The Deaf Festival Committee, Friends of the Family, as I mentioned, American Apparel, Bayer, California, Mud Makeup Designori, LA Parents Magazine, also represented up here today, and my council colleagues. As chair of Arts Parks Committee, it's an honor to continue this tradition of celebrating this community in the city of Los Angeles. I look forward to seeing all of you at noon next Saturday at the 16th Annual Deaf Festival. Thank you, colleagues, for your continued support of commemorating September as Deaf Awareness Month. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Over that way?
Before we go to the next item, we're going to let the individuals in the presentation make their way through the council chambers. Okay, Mr. Krikorian, we're going to do item 11. And I think we do have, you want me to take the cards or you want to
Yeah,
them to
take
wait?
the cards. That's fine.
Okay, I have on item 11, Mr. Sachs. Is it a Jared Carmichael and a Mr. Walsh? This is item 11. Please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. President. And if you mind, I digress. Somebody's waiting for this announcement. They're waiting to hear this. You lying piece of crap, John Walsh. And I'm sorry it took so long for him to hear that.
Stay on the item.
I am, but it was very important that he was waiting to hear that, and I thought it would be appropriate.
Stay on the subject.
Item 11 refers to the 911, the new generation of 911. And it's kind of like thinking about Apple and the iPhones. People are going to rush out to buy this, and in 2 months it's going to be obsolete, and they're going to need another iPhone. What have you got as far as information and technology dealing with the federal government? You know, it's kind of funny in a weird way how the LAUSD has got, they just returned them, as a matter of fact, the grenade launchers that came from the federal government as excess military hardware. So what relationship do you have with the government and the think tanks that the government has to be on the cutting edge of information? Because by the time you get back with this 6 months study on 911 capabilities, it'll be obsolete. And you'll be looking at that program to put in effect that's already obsolete. So why not jump ahead of the curve? Who do you have that you have a relationship? What consultants that would put you ahead of the curve like that instead of just wasting this funding to get a program that's going to be obsolete before it's even in place? Thank you.
Mr. Walsh.
John
Do we have
Walsh.
Mr. Carmichael?
HollywoodHighlands.org, J. Walsh Confidential. Again, I've lived here. First, I was here in '66 for a year, then from '76 on. Your 911 is the best in the United States, and you ought to be proud of it, and I live under it every day. I'm 100%. I will tell you one thing. The lady next door, she used to be calling 911. She was in poor health. But she did tell me something very important. I've never called 911. If the paramedics come over, that means they must take you to the hospital. If you think you should not be examined by the paramedics, do not allow them to examine you, because if they examine you, you will be charged an extra $200. Remember that. If you need a ride to the hospital, call 911. John Walsh, HollywoodHighlands.org. Thank you for 911.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Carmichael, please come forward.
Yes. Oh, wow. You guys. Hello. I was a little nervous coming up here, and then I looked at some of your faces as Batman spoke and realized we're all a little nervous. That was a little joke. I make a lot of humorous observations. I actually, and I'm going to talk about 911, but I would like to take an opportunity to say that I have a special coming out on HBO.
Stay on
October
the
4th.
subject,
okay,
Mr.
well,
Carmichael.
okay, all right, but you didn't say that to Batman. All right, give me 1 second.
No, trust me, I say it to Batman all the time.
But
stay on the subject.
I will say this. It is important. I want you and the city to please tune in October 4th. I know this is slightly off subject, but especially I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a lot of topics, a lot of government issues, actually, speak about. What's in the...
Thank you, Mr. Carmichael. You
For an item number 11.
Thank you. So, thank you, sir. Now, no disruption. Okay, let's prepare. Now let me defer to you, Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President, very much. Members, the first 911 call in the United States was placed over 45 years ago. And in the time since then, it has become a critical part of our emergency response system. And as one of the speakers said, here in Los Angeles, we have every reason to be very proud of the 911 response that we provide. But the truth is that in those ensuing more than 40 years, the technology involved hasn't really kept pace with the rest of society. So, for example, today we had the council chambers filled with members of the deaf and hard of hearing community who were here to recognize Deaf Awareness Month. And yet, if any of those folks had chosen to make a 911 call by text, which would be much easier for them, obviously, than a telephone call, the response they would get to that text here in Los Angeles is up there on the screen. The text response they would get would be an instruction to them to call 911. Now, in other places, in Vermont, in the city of Dallas, and other places in the United States, they're starting to take the next step forward with 911 response and provide texting capacity. Obviously, that will entail a significant amount of technological hurdles that we'll need to be considering. But I think that the time is now to begin considering those, to begin analyzing those, to get a report back so that we can advance this cause forward and provide an even better 911 system to our entire population of Angelenos without regard to what disabilities they may have, without regard to their ability to use telephone service in the way that is now required under the 911 system. So what's before you today is a request for a report back on initiating that process and helping to have Los Angeles be on the cutting edge of 911 response. So with that, I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Mr. Buscaino.
President, I want to stand and I second this motion with Mr. Krikorian. And in today's world of technology, using a smartphone, I think we ought to look at this more carefully. Time is of essence when it comes to life and death. And if it's sending a text message where folks cannot reach and get a hold of someone on the other line, it's got to be an option. It has to be an option. And my time with LAPD, serving 15 years, responding as a first responder to radio calls,
we have to look elsewhere. And if this also, if this is being done across the country, other major cities, why not us? And some may argue, well, you need somebody on the other line and have that one-on-one interaction. But with technology today, this needs to be an option moving forward in this century of technology, right, Nuri? So I encourage and I vote, and looking forward to hearing back from staff on this.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Krikorian and Mr. Buscaino. Let's, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, before we take up another item, I'd like to call on Mr. O'Farrell for a very special intro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, we have some very special guests in chambers this morning. Right now in Los Angeles at Olympic in Normandy at Seoul International Park is the annual Korean Festival, which culminates in a parade this Saturday morning. Visiting from Yosu City, we have Mayor Ju Choi-yoon. Please step up to the microphone, sir. And we also have visiting from Yosu City Council members Lee Son-hyo, Kim Jong-gil, and Kim Hyu-hwa. And I'd like the mayor to say a few words.
All right, let's give him a round of applause. Welcome. 안녕하세요.
예, 안녕하십니까. Thank you for inviting us. It's a great honor to be here with all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right.
Okay, if we could move on to where? Oh, there he is. Mr. Fuentes. You want to take item 14 at this time, or?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, item 14 before you. Thank you, Mr. Englander, for bringing the measure forward. I think it's appropriate to talk about this, and understanding item 17 on the special agenda are very similar, and I will tell you how. The Energy and Environment Committee first took up the issue of the billing customer service system situation that we found with the utility in February, about 8 months ago. And at that time, the committee asked the department to form a departmental response team, including the Legislative Analyst's Office, our Chief Administrative Officer, Sanitation, and other departments to meet regularly to address the problems with incorrect billing and long customer service wait times. The department has reported to the Energy and Environment Committee no less than 4 times, and to the Budget and Finance Committee, about what they are doing to stabilize the system and fix the issue, and what progress we're making. Today, we want to invite the department to come up and briefly update the full council on where we currently stand with the billing and customer service system, and it speaks directly to Mr. Englander's motion. And item 17, be rest assured that we will continue to have those frequent meetings in Energy and Environment to understand how the system is finally getting to stabilization, and so that will continue. But 14 is an update that fits into what it is that we've been doing, and would like to have the department to do that. But I do want to thank my colleagues on Energy and Environment. We've had to hear more often than not about the issues with the system, and we've been doing that work in committee. And I want to thank Mr. Krikorian as well for being a co-author of the original motion in February. Mr. Howard.
Good morning, Mr. President, council members. My name is Randy Howard. I'm the Senior Assistant General Manager of the Power System at LADWP, and I have with me Sharon Grove, who is the Director over our Customer Services. I want to take just a second, if I could, and take the privilege of just letting you all know. So on Sunday, we hit our second highest Sunday peak ever in usage. On Monday, we hit our highest peak usage ever for electricity. And on Tuesday, we beat that with 6,396 megawatts. It's a substantial increase. Our system operated well. Our staff worked very long hours in very difficult conditions to ensure that we continued restoring power. We now have all customers that were impacted during that outage, some impacted for only a moment and some much longer, but all of those now have been resolved and mitigated, and those customers are back on. So I just wanted to give you that overview. As the Councilmember Fuentes has indicated, we have continued reporting on the progress, the activities that we've taken to move forward with our remediation activities, our stabilization activities of this new billing system. We've had a number of challenges along the way, and we appreciate the support of the council offices to help us move things forward. We provided to you today just a one-page kind of summary of our remediation activities, and I just wanted to highlight a few of those things. Our focus up to this point has been on the revenue and getting the bills correct, getting those bills that had been estimated, get the actual reads out, get those to the customers whether they were high or low, and ensure that we only billed our customers for what they actually used. So it has caused a lot of grief for our customers to get through on the call center. And just prior to coming over this morning, and if Councilmember Labange was here, he would probably pick up the phone and dial it now. But the call wait times were about 2 minutes. As of this morning, they have averaged all week about 10 minutes, even with the heat storm going on. And we can talk about why that is. So our delayed bills, back in January, where about 75,000 customers had some form of delayed bills. As of September, earlier September, we were down to 15,000 and continue to work that down. We had estimated bills as high as over 20%. In January, there was 17%, and those were just not getting the meter reads in the system. We're not actually reading those meters. Now we are down to 4 to 5%, which is the standard of the industry, and that's really being able to get access to the yards, locked gates, animals, locked doors. So 4 to 5% is where we were prior to go live. So more than a 75% decrease. We've continued to work on the call wait times. It's been a significant issue. We understand it, a frustrating issue for all of our customers to get through. We've tried to expand the methods that they could communicate with us, much more with emails, online tools that would allow them to self-serve. We've had a number of Saturdays that we've made available in our various service centers. We have 16 service centers serving our population as well. We are now down to really historic levels that we would expect under a stabilized system. How have we done that? We've hired a number of customer service representatives, a number that were emergencies. We've now hired 122 full-time customer service representatives from July and September. Many of those are in training now. Some are working on the floor as we continue to rotate them in. It's had a significant impact to make things better. So we have more CSRs on the phone daily. We also have been working hard to train them, so we have more of our customer service reps with necessary skills to help resolve our customer issues the first time. I see Council Member Labange up there. He is dialing in. All right, I figured you would do that. We also have been working hard to ensure that those calls can be handled efficiently. So our customer service representatives have the right training, the right tools that they can resolve our customer issues the first time. Many of those have been putting payment arrangements together or special arrangements for our customers to be able to pay, and they now have those tools in place. And we continue to look at ways we can meet with our customers in person if necessary and reduce the number of calls to our call center. We have a number of technical initiatives to make it much easier for our customers to self-serve, to use their handheld devices to do more interactions with the department. Councilmember Englander specifically had questions and concerns regarding our callback feature. So we had a functionality that allowed a customer to call, not wait on the phone, but put in their information and we would call them back. We have determined through many, many days of usage of that system that it actually made the call wait times much longer for those that chose to wait on the phone. It was bumping those out. It was a technical issue, remains a technical issue with the vendor. We continue to work with the vendor on that particular feature, because the last thing you want is someone decided to wait because it said the wait was 30 minutes. And then it kept bumping them back and the wait ends up being longer than 30 minutes. That's a very frustrating interaction. And
breaking news, Mr. Howard. I have a 4-minute wait time. Thank you very much.
That's good news. I'll take 4 minutes. So at this point, the feature is turned off, but at 4 minutes, we shouldn't need the feature. And our expectation going forward is we will be at call wait times where the feature isn't necessary. Doesn't mean we're not going to fix it and ensure that we have that functionality available to us. Another key element is we're proceeding with a supplemental call center contract to ensure that we know we're going to have peaks and valleys. We could have emergencies. We need to have a backup center that's available for us to roll calls to when our time frames are excessive. And so we're working right now with labor and the contractor to move forward. We did issue a request for proposals, received some very strong proposals with firms that are familiar with the billing system, and we look forward to bringing that to our Board of Commissioners for approval in the future. At this point, I'll stop and respond to any questions you might have.
Mr. Fuentes, as chairman, Mr. Englander.
Great, thank you very much, and thanks for reporting back on this as well. I really appreciate it. As I'm sure you're aware, I think from the reports that we've seen and what we've heard, is my district is affected the most. It's the hottest area of the city of LA, but also many of the largest properties, and many that are on solar and or submeter and or both. And so it's caused all kinds of problems. Before I get into some of my questions, and we did some of our own analysis as well, and we do log all the calls, and it seems to be going up dramatically, the calls to our office. So last month in August, we received what we call cases and not calls. So we log the cases. So if there's one, they're not just calling to complain, or they're not just calling to let us know that they had an issue, but they're calling to ask for our help. And then we take it on as a case, where we've got our caseworkers that'll take it in and start working directly with DWP, as you're well aware. And I want to thank both of you and the department for coming out to the office, for working directly with our staff and our customers, and ensuring that we can follow through on each and every one of these. We knew it was going to be very difficult. Last month we had 40 cases that were open cases, and this month we're at 45 already, and we're only on the 19th of September. So the volume's going up. We've expected it to go up a little bit because the summer month bills are now starting to roll in, and so those are coming in. Our experience from calls just yesterday, the average was about 15 to 20 minute wait time. Some were 30. When asked to speak to a supervisor, we're still getting some of the I guess the public service, customer service representatives saying that supervisors don't get on the phones with customers. And then it's not only until after somebody is very insistent and demanding that maybe they can get a supervisor to then call them back. It's been the experience in talking to the customers, and then our own practice of trying it as well, that if they do ask more demanding, and then they actually do suggest that they would get a call back, they get that call back from a supervisor. We're hoping it doesn't have to go to that level, and so we'd like that to be looked into a little bit as well. So we did have an experience where there was a couple calls that did go through in 3 minutes and in 5 minutes, which is completely the opposite of where we were a month ago. There was never an instance where we had less than double-digit wait times, and so a 3 minute or 5 minute, again, some being 15 or 20. So my question is this. There are going to be peaks and valleys, and obviously we've had a lot of hot days and power outages in Northridge and other areas throughout the city as well. Are there times that from tracking where you're the busiest or specific days and days or times where those are the busiest times to call, and there are other times where it falls out?
There are. So Mondays are always the busiest, and the first Monday of a month, the very busiest. Our busiest times as well seasonally are when our students are leaving for the summer and closing their services, as well as when they return. So we had a peak going into the end of August and the beginning of September. Now we will peak for an entire month, the month of October, and please recognize that heat wave, while we were able to supply power, it was record usage, and that means the bills are going to be some of the record bills for our customers. It's going to be a challenging time for them. So we do expect, we're staffing appropriately to respond to that. They will start receiving those bills in the next couple weeks that will include mostly the summer bill. It will be their highest bill. One of the features we hope to bring forward in the future will be a levelized pay plan to help our customers smooth through some of those seasons and those issues. But Mondays would be a day to avoid if you just have a regular call or a purpose.
Do we say that while they're on hold? Do we give that information to say, if you're calling on a Monday, it's our busiest time, you can call during the week at any time. Here's the best times to call. Do we offer that information while they're on hold?
I think that's a great suggestion. We haven't done it yet because we hadn't gotten to this point where we really had the option of being able to answer the call promptly Tuesday through Friday. So we can absolutely put that on the phones.
Okay, if I can make that suggestion then, and that is probably something that should be often analyzed, as I'm sure you do already, and perhaps updated in the voice recording. If you see that the calls then everybody's moved to Tuesday, then update it to say, Wednesday or Thursdays are our slowest call times, or here's the best time to call where you won't have to wait on hold. That would be helpful while somebody's sitting there to help them with that as well. For new service, if somebody needed new service, can they...
Your time is 3:34 over.
Yes. Can I get 20 minutes since I was on hold for the last 2 minutes and 44 seconds. If somebody is, but thank you, Mr. President. If somebody is wanting new service, can they do that over the phone?
Yes, they can do that over the phone. We're also trying to ensure that they can do that online without actually interfacing with the department.
So there's some still wrinkles we should work out. I called yesterday about new service. I was told that they cannot sign up for new service over the phone. Asked to speak to a supervisor. They said they cannot put a supervisor on the phone. Demanded a call back from a supervisor. Did receive one and said, you cannot do this over the phone, and you have to come in and wait online. So I think we still have some bugs. And the only reason I did that yesterday is we had 3 people that did call in the last couple weeks into the office and say the same thing. So from what I'm hearing also, we've hired some new folks, and so there's still some training to iron out. Those are one of the things that we're getting, and I just wanted to point that out as well. Not as a gotcha, just these are the calls that are coming into our office, and then our staff isn't exactly sure how to respond to some of these. One of the things, though, that being the highest call volume in the city in CD12 on these issues, I really got to go out of my way to thank you guys. You've been able to come down and work with customers directly throughout our district to be responsive. Every single case that we have taken on, we have had good resolution on, and working with and working through DWP. That's been unparalleled. We've never had that experience in the past. So what you've done in the last couple months to work with the customers that have the biggest problems and the biggest bills, in my district certainly, has never been done to the extent and energy that you've been giving this. And I really, truly appreciate it from all of our customers. And this will continue. So I look forward to that, continuing that relationship and hammering down on these. And then the last thing is, do we have any idea when we may be going to a month-to-month billing? Is there hope in the near future?
It's our expectation we're going to start piloting a program in December, January. We'll have to phase it in through the service territory based on staffing, and we want to make sure that we do it in a way.
So we'll go slow and try it out and pilot it.
So we're looking to pick a couple areas, December, January timeframe, and then we'll start adding more as we continue down that path.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And I want to thank Ms. Yancey sitting back there as well, who's been very responsive and with everything you guys are going through. The call volumes certainly are the highest we've ever received in the history of the city, and you're really managing it much better, and we really appreciate that. Thank you for the extra time.
All right, well, you have very good points. Mr. Fuentes, to close, and as you stand up, at the campuses, UCLA and SU, your biggest challenges for schools in the start of the year?
And we have a number of schools, obviously. We have the junior colleges. We have the Cal State systems. So it's really when the students are leaving for their summer, they close their services if they're living in apartments and meters, as well as when they're returning. So it's our busiest time.
Go ask Caltech to figure out a program for you. They'll help you in Pasadena. Okay, Mr. Fuentes.
Thank you, Mr. President, and colleagues, thank you for your attention to the issue. Clearly, as Mr. Englander has pointed out, this has been a very troublesome rollout, but we are on our way to stabilization. We have been working diligently with the department and the stakeholders, as well as interdepartmental folks around the city, to make sure that we are stabilizing this situation as soon as possible. I know that the mayor's office gets a dashboard on the issue. We're getting much closer, and you heard from the testimony that the wait times now are reasonable. They are what they are supposed to be, and there will be peaks because there are some busy months given the heat storm that we are currently in. But it's all within what should be expected in terms of wait times. And so we're moving towards stabilization. It's not over. We are working very closely. The committee is hearing from this working group every 30 days or every meeting every 30 days. We are getting together to understand where we are. And I think we are going to be very close to pronouncing the system stabilized, which will then get us to the monthly billing and all of the features that we expect this system to do. It has been bumpy. We have apologized to our residents. We continue to do the best that we can. And I just want to thank the department for the response, and in particular, Mr. Howard, your team, because you adopted this mess. So thank you for getting us through it as quickly as you have. And with that, we'll see you in committee again.
Thank you.
Oh, one last thing here. This is really important. You've got a camera here. If customers have problems, they should do what? They can email, they can call, they can come to one of our service centers. What are those numbers?
To call, 1-800-DIAL-DWP. We have 16 service centers, so they're located around the city. We actually have 4 open on Saturdays for a couple upcoming Saturdays. And you can go on our website and you can do a lot of the functionality and get a lot of answers to a number of questions just by going on our website, ladwp.com.
Take 2. Do that again. You can call.
Look at me right now with some authority, like that power that comes in.
1-800-DIAL-DWP, and we'd prefer them to call now because we really want to handle their complaint right when they call.
1-800. Good job. Thank you very much. Mr. Howard, I'd like to see you before you leave chambers. No other questions? Madam Clerk, let's please open the roll on this matter. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's recess the regular meeting and begin the special meeting. Please call the roll.
Blumenfeld, Bonham, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Weezer, Crest, Krikorian, Labange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Wesson. 13 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Item 17 is the item for which the public hearing has been held. Any questions on item 17? Any need for comment? Mr. Fuentes?
We covered it mostly in item 14, colleagues.
Very good. So seeing none, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Next item.
Item 18 is an item for which public hearing has not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
For consideration on 18, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
13 ayes. Before us, we have one caller at 18, Mr. Herman.
Mr. Speaker, is that special? If not, I pass.
Thank you. Note the card. No speakers on the queue. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Next item.
Mr. President, that's all the items in the special meeting. Do you wish to adjourn the special meeting and return to the regular?
Yes. Next item.
Item 1, call special for cards.
One formerly from Lenox, California, now from Redondo Beach, Arnold Sachs. Yes.
Maybe this will spare us some pain here. I'd like to continue item 1G for 2 weeks.
1G for 2 weeks. Thank you.
And that's until October 3rd.
Go ahead, Mr. Sachs.
Yeah, thank you. You sure? I mean, because I'm just really upset about this DWP item. And you put on new present information before the public, and then you close the comment off to the public. That's just not fair. This is about, again, inspections, paying for the cost of inspections. I'm hearing so much about how the city is going to be having meetings or talking about funding for this and deficits for that, sidewalk repair and road repair, paying for the cost of inspections. You're going to send a guy out to inspect the building for whatever violations, but you will not, you refuse. You talk about voting. You voted to put an ordinance in effect on foreclosed property. You voted. You spent the time. You spent the energy. You put committees to work. You voted to enact an ordinance that would require inspection personnel to go out and inspect properties. And yet you haven't enforced one property. So if you have a problem with foreclosed property, you did hear some newspaper story, you did read or hear.
Would you be specific to this item, Mr.
I am being specific to the inspection part of the item, okay? And how you want to use your personnel. Call the police department. Get the senior lead officer to come out to your problem and have him make a report. The city attorney is going to be looking into filing against those violations that aren't written up by the inspectors.
Mr. Walsh is the next speaker. Mr. Walsh is out of time, John. I'm sorry. You wait for public comment. Patricia Mendoza.
Good morning. Hello, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone, especially Mr. Gil Cedillo. I would like to announce that Charles just called my attention indicating that my brother paid a bill of $550. That was the agreement a while back. But then that agreement went back to close to $3,000. And I thanks Charles for sharing that. I don't have a copy. But I also wanted to share, Mr. Gil Cedillo and all of you, the same inspector the inspector that's not assigned to this matter, but the inspector that's in the office on Wilshire, Normandy, he had a phone conversation with my brother about 2-3 months ago. And that conversation, I don't know how long it took. My brother freaked out. Mr. Gil Cedillo, he went inside the property and destroyed more than $5,000 worth of my furniture. I collect antiques. I buy furniture from the Victorian houses and from out of the closet. I have receipts. And it took a simple conversation for my brother just to freak out. And it had to do because of this inspector that's in that office. And I will be writing you a letter, and I will be filing a big complaint. And I did file 2 police reports, and I do want to give you notice that I do hold this department and many other people responsible for everything what I've been going through, even the people across the street. There's a supervisor that's an inspector also, and I'll never forget the words that he said. Ms. Mendoza, if you don't pay this lien, people go to jail. You don't want to go to jail with your brother. It can get really, really bad. If I don't even want to tell you and share the stories. He goes, but let me tell you, if you don't take care of this, it can get pretty nasty. Well, it has. And there's more to this, and I will be writing a letter to you, Mr. Gil Cedillo.
Mr. Ted Ross.
Good morning. This is the third time for me here regarding a bill. I paid it 2010 was $550. They received it, and they still charging me money. Most of this money as interest and penalty. I already paid it under protest, and I would like you to help me to reimburse this money, because this is very, very unfair. You don't want to do like some other cities, I don't want to mention names, that they overcharge their taxpayers because they need the money. We don't want to be like them. So please reimburse me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Mr. Herman.
Angelenos, residents of Los Angeles, if you've heard the process of the liens, is it satisfying to hear these sad stories? These stories that are gone through this system of a so-called justification to protect the rights of whom? Yeah, you can laugh all you want, you moron over there. But you know what? The bottom line is this. The people deserve a right to review this process. The liens, the illegal liens that you, Mr. Krikorian, Mr. Weezar, and I'm not going to say who else, you have a timeline to help cure correct the problems you brought upon the citizens of Los Angeles. The same two people back there, Miss Mendoza, a woman who you brought this hardship to, along with Mr. Ross, who you heard who couldn't really defend and speak on the real issue. Due process. Are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening to Batman? Because I got no one's attention.
Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Krikorian. Continue, Speaker, on the topic. Thank you.
Interrupt me. So the bottom line is, if you're gonna put a lien against a property, notify them by certified mail. How damn hard is that? Is it very difficult for Angelenos, citizens of Los Angeles, you the taxpayers, to receive the proper notice? Let me pray today for those who have not received that notice upon the lien. Because again, this gentleman who only works for an agency, a local agency, a department, doesn't give a rat's ass about the people here speaking on their liens, but Batman does. The people here sitting in the crowd know that the liens are illegal.
No other speakers? No marks on the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, next item will be 15 and 16 together. We do have two cards for the record. Note one, Mr. Walsh, who's out of time until public comment. Mr. Sachs, you have 1 minute at this point. 15 and 16 together.
Yes, thank you. Item 16, if you wouldn't mind clarifying this. You're changing the primary purpose of the revolving fund to the innovation fund and changing the primary purpose of the fund to improve the quality, efficiency, and effectiveness of city services. So this is now the new primary purpose of this fund. So clarify, what was the primary purpose of the fund before today, when it was part of the productivity and incentive revolving fund? Because evidently, your new purpose is different. So what was the old purpose of the productivity incentive revolving fund that you've now come up with this? And how long has the fund been in use? Is it kind of like that trust fund for DWP? 10 years, 12 years? Get a little clarification on that. Should I wait at the side here?
Wait at the ropes. I'll see you after the meeting. Ms. Martinez.
President, I'd like to introduce a friendly amendment.
Very
So I
good.
move that the matter related to the continued consideration of the Innovation, Technology, and General Services Committee report relative to the creation of the Innovation Fund and restructuring of the Quality and Productivity Commission into the Innovation Performance Commission, item 15, on today's agenda be amended to add the following recommendation: that the Council refer all matters related to the Innovation Fund be referred to the Audits Committee in addition to the Innovation, Technology, and General Services Committee.
Friendly amendment, no objection. I like that friendly amendment. So ordered. Mr. Blumenfeld.
Well, as the chair of the Innovation Committee, of which this report is coming in, I've worked with Ms. Martinez and her interest in this. I'm happy to accept this as a friendly amendment. I think it's the more of us that get engaged in this, the better. This is a really, the Innovation Fund that the mayor put forward, something we spent a lot of time in Budget Committee talking about the pros and the cons. But what's really exciting about it is doing this city differently, making the city more efficient. And what this Innovation Fund is going to do, it's going to allow line workers, anybody in the city family who has an idea of how to make the city better and more efficient, to come forward with that idea and to have a place in a commission that looks at it. Because we as a council are committed to making the city more efficient and more effective. And this initiative by the mayor, of which the council has embraced through the budget process and through this report, wants to be part of that process and move us forward. So it's a great initiative by the mayor. It's a chance to make the city more efficient, and most importantly, it's a chance to empower the people who really do the work every day, the people who make this city run, empower them to make a difference. So I'm excited about this Innovation Fund. I'm happy to accept the amendment from Ms. Martinez to engage her committee in it as well as mine, and I urge our support.
Thank you very much. No other speakers on the queue. Madam Clerk, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Thank you. I want to call that forthwith because innovation needs no limits. Thank you very much. Next item.
Mr. President, that brings council to general public comment.
General public comment. I'm going to call 1 minute public comment. This time, members, here we go. Bradley Hertz. Bradley Hertz.
Good morning, members of the council. I'm Bradley Hertz of the Sutton Law Firm on behalf of the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Wanted to thank the council for unanimously adopting the Los Angeles City Health Protection Act on June 12th. It creates a Los Angeles City Health Commission of 15 members, one of whom is appointed by each council member, and the process is underway to research and determine the best way to constitute that commission. We've had some good conversations with the city attorney's office, the CAO's office, and Council President Wesson's office, and we know sometimes these processes take time, but we urge the City Council to push forward on this legislation now that it's been passed and to make this commission a reality. Thank you.
Mickey Jackson.
Good morning. And it was a good morning. The temperature gave us a break today. Hey. I wanted to also echo and say that thank you very much for having voted for the commission. And I think we've seen an awful lot of increase in illnesses and partially because of a lack of vaccinations, a lot of things. I know there. And I think that our health commission could be doing us a lot of good advocating for various interventions on things like meningitis and pertussis, and we now have enterovirus. And yes, we do have a case here, although it hasn't gone all the way through Public Health Department to be reported yet. So I urge you, please, to appoint us some good folks on that commission, and let's get some good work going. Thank you.
Mario Scott.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the City Council. My name is Mario Scott. and I'm a Los Angeles City resident. I'm here today with some of my fellow Angelinos to thank you unanimously for voting back in June to create the City Health Commission. We want to take this opportunity to encourage this City Council to start appointing the 15 members that will serve on the Health Commission. As a gay man living with HIV, we have experienced the county's slow response to the health crisis affecting the MSM community in Los Angeles. For example, during the last meningitis outbreak, the county took way too long to protect our community.
Finish that sentence, sir. Hold on the applause. You can finish the sentence if you want.
Okay. Good. According to the Los Angeles Times, the cases of whooping cough in Los Angeles have been on the increase since March. However, we believe that the County Department of Public Health continue to do nothing to educate our community about this important vaccination to protect against potentially deadly infection.
Thank you very much. Thank you, AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Next speaker, Michael Hunt. I dropped that accidentally, Patrice. Excuse me.
Think we better get them all off the boardwalk, them goddamn niggers. They don't need no jobs. Let's get them off the boardwalk. Those goddamn niggers.
Robert Garnett, Jr. Is Robert here?
I do apologize. I'm filming for my own Facebook page right here. I only want to say is that you guys have a bar out here and you made laws for it, and you guys are not following the laws of the bar. All I'm asking for is a smoke lounge. You guys are coming up to me saying that we have smoke lounges and collectives, but that's like having a bar in CVS. To be honest with you, we need our own place. We're worrying about the threat of losing tourism. We're worrying about competition between Colorado and Amsterdam. We have not made no effort in supporting what we've been promoting this whole time. If we can just have one place to advertise correctly, one place that's actually following the rules and regulations, that will boost the economy like tenfold. Just one smoke lounge.
Carl Williams.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is direct to Mr. Mike Bonin. Year in, year out, Mr. Mike Bonin passed racial discrimination ordinance towards the black vendors of Venice Beach, wasting taxpayers' money, him and his colleagues, stopping us from making an honest living. Every time he passed the ordinance, it's okay for the white, the Caucasian, the Spanish, and the Asian to make an honest living, but not for the blacks. And we can make it our pioneer duty to go to the people, the black people of Venice Beach, and also on the internet to make them know, don't vote for Mr. Mike Bonin next term. Make sure they don't cast their vote for him because he's a racist towards black people. And he and the people of Venice, the building owner, and also the people them that lease are
Ted
racist.
Ross. John Neighbors.
Good morning. I wanted to speak briefly about 9/11, but then there was a more important date. Thank you. And then there was a more important date that came to mind, and that's October 4th. Gerard Carmichael's new HBO special will be coming out, and that shit is funny as fuck. I swear to God. You got to watch that shit. October 4th. That's my boy's special. Watch it, man. Watch it. Y'all gonna watch it, right? Yeah, I see you over there, Cedillo. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good day. October 4th.
Mr. Herman.
Mr. Americans, we have no barriers here. The rope that divides us is between the racism of this council and this barrier of the rope. So I'm not going to say very much no more today, for my time is done. I did the justice of getting Mr. Krikorian to turn his chair away from me. And I got Mr. Herb Wesson to respond to the dumbass remark about Mr. Neil Kashkari for governor. And yet, Mr. Weezer not even here to defend himself against Gloria Molina or Nadine Diaz. So the change is now.
Fellow Americans, reach out and vote in November. Special elections and all elections should not be bribed, but we, the voters, we American citizens, defend the right of the Constitution, our First Amendment right, and 54-950, the Brown Act.
Robert Lucas.
Good morning, everybody. You know, the last 10 days, I've gone from Belmont Shores, San Pedro, Long Beach, Venice, to the outskirts of Malibu. Some of the homeless that I've interacted with in rough situations are some of the most remarkable individuals that I've interacted with. In doing that, I've also interacted with some of the communities. I need to share an experience with you that I had, and it came to me on a day that somebody kind of lashed out from the community to somebody that was in desperate need. Some of these people that are in bad situations are truly beautiful people. I've seen a lot of beautiful people in society that are truly ugly individuals. I can't express to you the empathy that's needed for some of this. You guys have a good day.
Thank you very much. Brian Barajas.
Tonight, well, actually not tonight, at 5 p.m., please log on to LaRouche PAC for Linda LaRouche's webcast. Now, let me recap what just happened in the Senate and in the House by allowing Obama to actually create the Red Bull or moderates in being trained in Saudi Arabia. Now, what that is actually treason, because in the House, 156 people who voted no on the continuing resolution. Remember, Obama slipped it in to train these moderates. So why are we allowing a president of the United States to facilitate a terror network with Saudi Arabia? In the House, in the Senate, 22 senators voted no. Rand Paul explicitly made clear Obama's crimes. So we are in a very huge problem. It's a problem.
Arnold Sachs. Jody from the CAO's office, please report to the President's chair.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Arnold Sachs, and bless you for the 1 minute. Such bullshit. You have a productivity committee, but you don't even pay attention to what you say in council chambers. Mr. Englander was discussing problems with DWP. He mentioned about getting calls to his office. Mr. Fuentes mentioned to the speakers from DWP, who should the public call if they have complaints? DWP listed numbers. But Mr. Fuentes and the DWP didn't say, or call your council office. So if you have a problem with DWP, your options are call them up and get on hold, call your council office, put them to work. Mr. Englander said his office makes cases to contact DWP. Call your 14 other council members and put them to work for DWP. That's new information.
John Walsh. Sergeant, we remind the gentleman not to clap.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. The Cedillo Jazz Festival, I attended it. It was excellent. First of all, let's start with LAPD overtime for the Jay-Z concert. I called Krikorian's office. Krikorian's office says it's almost $5 million we're paying. The LA Times won't do the story. Okay, for the first time in about 20 years, I saw children, 7 or 8 year old children on Hollywood Boulevard 2 days ago with their mother begging. We're no better than Baghdad. We're no better than Syria. Okay, kiddie porn. As we know, the city attorney, who has an Hispanic last name, but it was not Hispanic, was arrested for kiddie porn. I wish we could check the city attorney, deputy city attorney's office for his computer. Of course, there was kiddie porn all over the city.
Gilbert Torres.
Good morning, Mr. President, Council member. My name is Gilberto Torres, Music Director of Barrio Music Nonprofit Organization. We have been working with our program in City of Lincoln High, Highland Park, and Boylan High, providing music for all the kids from low-income families. And we are here today in order to ask you, all the members of this committee, to help us. We have more than 300 families in which we provide musical classes, and we have orchestra. Mr. Cedillo is right here. He knows me very well. And we need the support of you guys. We have teachers, and we need those kids need musical instruments. We need money to keep helping the kids of the low-income families of the cities. Thank you very much.
Patricia Mendoza.
Thank you. I wanted to continue what I spoke regarding my property in the lien, Mr. Gil Cedillo. I'm going to prove my case that how some inspectors are so evil and malicious. They're no different like many, many police officers from the Ram Park Police Station. People from our community are from nonprofits, and that needs to stop because that is being and doing harm, lying, being malicious, and that needs to stop. And I'm going to prove to you, Mr. Gil Cedillo, that I am saying the truth. I also wanted to say, it's real sad that Jose Weezer's not here. It's very sad what's going on in downtown LA, seeing a lot of people that are in drugs, especially American white Anglos, very good looking, very young, on drugs, crystal, heroin, seeing really bad stuff in downtown. I'm wondering what you guys are going to be doing in downtown and cleaning up this mess regarding the drugs, the alcohol, the homeless, people taking off their clothes.
Gerald Carmichael's the next speaker.
Hey, I know you're over time. I just wanted to take a quick moment and get everyone's attention, do a couple bits I'm going to do on the special. One, I have this bit about where I say I voted for Barack Obama for the same reason you want your friend to get a job at Best Buy. You know, because I thought I was going to get 40% off something. Stuff like that. There's a bit about how I think Kool-Aid was created so that poor people couldn't see how bad their water really is. Yeah, just stuff like that. October 4th, really excited for you guys to watch. Hopefully you all enjoy it. One more. I don't think people on welfare should be allowed to eat breakfast. You know, like you're building up your strength for what? Like, what are you doing later today that you need? Just bits like that. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy yourselves. Smile a little bit more. You guys have a great night. Thank you. Thank you.
That completes public comments, Madam Clerk. Next item.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
So ordered.
That clears the desk.
On announcements, Mr. Wesson, we thank you because the big 41st Annual Korean Day Parade down Olympic Boulevard will be held in your district this week. We'll also have the Fun Run Sunday for Shane's Inspiration in Griffith Park. A lot of great things happening around Los Angeles, and be part of it. Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Port of Los Angeles, another incredible event taking shape this weekend. The Red Bull Global Rally Cross is coming this weekend to the Outer Harbor, expecting 8,000 to 10,000 people. Will be broadcast live on NBC Saturday and Sunday. Gates open on Saturday at 9 a.m. Actually, kicks off today at 1 p.m. Gates open. Saturday gates open at 9, and Sunday gates open at 8. Everyone's welcome. And as you know, we won't settle. These events are fantastic. It's bringing people down to the harbor area to help with our local economy, but we won't settle until we have the best and highest use of our waterfront redevelopment along the waterline. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you for your leadership on that, and drive safely down the San Pedro Freeway. Any other announcements, members? Any adjourning motions? I see no adjourning motions. Continue to serve the city well. Have a good weekend, and thank you and all the clerks and the staff and the sergeants, our translator, and Detective Sergeant Edo for their work here today.